I'm sorry, I was in the bathroom because it's the most quiet place. But yeah, so you gotta. What I know now, what I never knew growing up, is that the Most High is in charge of all things, and the sooner you know that, the more fearless you become. Even if I'm in stagnation. If you're in stagnation, the Most High is doing that for a reason. So like, why would He put you in stagnation? Because you're loading. You're loading. While you're in stagnation, you're loading. Like in basketball, before you jump, you gotta gather. So the Most High will have certain individuals in stagnation for a period of time. Like pardon the background noise. When Israel left Egypt, they wandered in the desert for 40 years because the Most High was loading them. All right, so understand that when the Israelites left Egypt, the reason to why they were stubborn and wouldn't listen to the Most High, because the Most High wanted to keep them in the wilderness for 40 years. He wanted to keep them there purposely. Nothing is out of the Most High's reach. A lot of people say, how can I serve a God that His own people won't listen to Him? Don't be deceived. The Most High is the one who made them stubborn. The Most High made them stubborn because He wanted to keep them in the wilderness for 40 more years. There's another side to it. You want to know why He wanted to keep them in the wilderness for 40 more years? One, because the land that they were going to conquer needed to sin more. And two, because I firmly believe there were individuals in the land that was waiting to be conquered that the Most High wanted to let them die in peace. So if they say there's a man in that land that is going to be conquered and he was a good man towards the Most High, right? And say that man's 30 years old. Back then men didn't live that long, so he died 70, 80. And the Most High's like, since you've been good to me, you're going to die an old man. But wait a minute, the Israelites just coming out of Egypt to conquer the land. So the Most High's like, how can I store them? Oh, I'll just make them not listen to me so I can punish them. And then they'll stay in the land. And I can give this man time to live a long, peaceful life. Get what I'm saying? The Most High is in total control. The Most High was never out of control. This is His movie. This is His, like Shakespeare said, life is a play. This is His theater. So when the Israelites left Egypt, for people that say, how can we follow God His own people and listen to? Don't be deceived. The Most High made them ignorant to Him so He can keep them in the desert for 40 years so they can gather. They wasn't ready to. The spirit of Jacob, when you look at a nation of people, is really, in the eyes of heaven, when you look at a nation of people, is one man. Jacob, the spirit of Jacob was not ready to conquer these lands yet. So he needed to gather. So how do you gather? When you gather, you have to sit still and gather your strength. So the Most High had the Israelites in stagnation for 40 years so the spirit of Jacob can be ready. Everything means something. Even if it means nothing, it means something. You've never heard this before. The Most High is in total control. And when you understand that, you become more confident. If you find yourself in stagnation, depression, you're loading. When it's time for you to step out, nothing's going to be able to stop that because you're not going to be able to be in stagnation. You're not going to be able to stay in stagnation. The Most High is in total control. When it's time, nothing's going to be able to stop you. The Israelites, when they left Egypt, the Most High made them stubborn so He can punish them, so He can keep them there for 40 years. One, because there needed to be more sin in the land they were going to conquer. Two, because there were certain men and women in the land that they were going to conquer that lived righteously, so the Most High promised them a peaceful life. And three, the spirit of Jacob was not totally ready yet. All of these nations that are in this earth, if you look at it in a spiritual view from on high, you will see each nation represents a man. So when you look at the world map, instead of seeing hundreds of people in America, you're going to see one man. That's America. When you look at China, you're going to see one man. That's China. When you look at Russia, you're going to see one man. That's Russia. Jacob, as one man, was not strong enough to inhabit the other land. He was not strong enough to conquer those lands, those men, and bind them. He was not, because you cannot destroy people totally. And if you do destroy people totally, that energy is going to be recycled into other people's. But he was not ready to totally destroy those energies. He was not ready to bind those people around him. So he had to gather. He needed more time. So what did the Most High do? The Most High made them act ignorant so he can have them in stagnation. You understand? The Most High is in total control. There's nothing out of his reach. Evil doesn't really exist, but it does exist to us. I look at all of the things that happened in my life, and I realized that when I just accepted it and figured out how can it make me stronger, it made me stronger. Everything has its purpose. But the Most High is in total control. Total control. Total control. He is responsible for all things. It says that the angels, the watchers, they just became corrupt. Watchers are supposed to govern this reality and make sure people don't act crazy. They became corrupt and made people act crazy. The Most High is the one who made them corrupt. The Most High is the one who caused for the earth to fall into sin. The Most High is the one who caused for the earth to fall into darkness. When you understand these things, you become invincible. Even if you get killed, you're still invincible. Even if you're poor, you're invincible. Because you understand the Most High is the one that brings the darkness. So now when you're in this suffering, you can you can ease your way out of it more better than if you didn't understand. So now when the suffering comes, the aspect of fear is going to be there because you're still made of flesh, but it's not going to be as strong because if you're walking outside and killers come to kill you, you're going to say, Father, why are you doing this to me? Why are you bringing this evil upon me? But I deserve death. What shall I learn from this? Then the Father can say, let me relent because he believes in me. But the world has convinced us that the Most High doesn't do the evil. So therefore, men only respect evil. They don't respect good. Men only respect fear. They don't respect kindness. So the evil and fear was taken from the Father, and the image of I'll forgive you for whatever you do was put on the Father. So now men don't respect the Father. So now what happens is when you run into a jam, you don't understand that the Father's the one bringing the evil. So now you don't know how to repent. So instead of calling on the Father, you're endowed with fear. Because you feel that these powers are more fierce than the Father because the Father has been painting the image of weakness. That was an awesome strategy by Satan. Because if you take away the Father's fear, and you take away the fact that the Father is the one who brings the evil for its reason, when evil actually comes, you won't know how to repent. Therefore, you'll be destroyed because you'll lack the trust in the Father. When the Father visits me, I'm terrified. I'm in shock and awe and fear and horror. Especially when he manipulates the clouds. I'm terrified of the Father because this is the power that does all things, that has no limit. Today, I can fear the Father and do what's right, and tomorrow I don't, and he punishes me utterly. The Father controls all things. And the sooner you understand that, you become invincible. And I'm not saying you're invincible in an arrogant way. I'm saying you're invincible because whenever you get into that jam, you're going to call on the Father. You're going to say, Father, why are you doing this to me? What do I need to know? I'm dealing with stagnation. So I'm like, I'm pleading with the Father, praying. Why are you doing this? And the Father says, you have to load more. You have to load more. I'm loading you up. Okay? I'm loading you up. That's why the world, a lot of people don't understand the Father because he don't want them to understand either. The Father's in charge of all things. All things, even the earliest religions. The Father's in charge of that. The Sumerians, the Anunnaki, the Father's in charge of that. Someone can say, well, Al, who are they? The Anunnaki, these beings, they're nothing but the Watchers. The Watchers are spiritual forces that were put after the world was created and men inhabited it. The powers put gods throughout the earth to make sure men in their countries didn't do stupid shit. But these gods became bugged out, and they fell from their grace and perverted the earth. Those are the watchers. It's not, you know what I'm saying? These are the gods. But there's still levels to this thing. There's still levels. And people say, well, Al, when I look at Egypt, the Bible resembles a lot of the Egyptian knowledge because that's true knowledge. So, of course, the Bible is going to resemble it. Once again, there's a man, he said something, and I say it 10 years later. But when I say it 10 years later, I never listened to the man. I never heard the man, but we said the same exact thing because knowledge is true. Knowledge is facts. The Egyptians were on point. But the Father reigns supreme. People say, well, the Bible, it's a young book. Christ said, he praised the Father because he revealed the knowledge to babes. The Bible is going to be a young book. It's going to be a baby book because babes are going to conquer. The Father says, use the foolish things of the world to confine the wise because it's going to be fools. The Father's made wisdom foolish, simplistic. The Father is the one who gives fancy, and he'll take fancy away. The Father is the one who puts the results in things. If you do 1,000 push-ups a day and eat clean and jog every other day, you're going to look like fucking Brad Pitt in Troy. But the Father take the effect away from the result away from that. You can train like Arnold Schwarzenegger and you just stay fat. And then there's a guy that doesn't train like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger because the Father put the result in that. That doesn't make sense, but this is the power that I serve. This is the power I serve. When it rains, the ground gets wet, but the Father can take the result away from that. When it rains, the ground gets drier. The Father takes the result away from things. That's why, people say, well, for instance, someone say, well, I was going to be destroyed because we went to the spiritual realm and the Spirit said if Al eats this and does that, he's going to be destroyed. The Father takes the result away from that. So what was meant to destroy me made me more powerful. You never heard this before. You never heard this before. You never heard this before. Everything's a joke to the Father, man. He created the principles of the universe. He formed her. He made her beautiful. We're all in her womb. We live here. He made her wonderful. Then he put his seed in her. And here we are. He created her principles. He created her laws. He created her reality. So now, when you depend on him, for your sake, he'll take the result out of things. People may have done death rituals on you that work. They did it according to the law of reality. But for your sake, the Most High took the results away. So instead of you dying, you get stronger. You get more life. You're barely eating, but you're getting more muscular. You're getting bigger. You're getting stronger because the Most High is taking the results away from your malnutrition. This is the power I serve because God is a power. The Most High is the Father of powers. Because we can go on about names. When I say the name Yahweh, Allah, Yahweh means to be. He exists. Allah means God. God means power. So really, we're calling on the Father of powers. The immortal, the constant power who is the Father. That's who we're calling on. So people want to say, I don't believe in Hebrew, but I want to find the Creator. So call on the Father of powers. Powers, which is infinite. Father is the one who carries the seed. So you don't know what to call the Most High. Call him the Father of powers. You don't know if you should call him Yahweh. You don't know if you should call him Allah. Call him the Father of powers. Certainly he'll lead you to the right path. He won't forsake you. Definitely he'll shine his light upon you so you may live in a land of darkness. Now obviously this world is wicked and evil, obviously. So who rules this world? Obviously the adversary to everything which is just and natural. Who's the adversary? What is his name? Satan. Why is he called the serpent? Is he actually a serpent? He's not a fucking serpent. Pardon my French. Serpent means wise. Why is Satan called the serpent? Because he used wisdom to create, to not create this world, but to manipulate this world. It's very strategic to take away the fear of God and give it to him. He was very strategic. He changed the image of the saints. He changed the image. He took away the attributes of God and gave it to himself. That's wisdom. That's shrewdness. That's why he's called the serpent. Now, Christ said, be wise as serpents. So is Christ telling us to be like Satan? In a degree, yes. Now, listen. If you're Christian in Judaism, I don't recommend you listen because you might think I'm evil. Now, he's saying you gotta be a little bit like Satan. Now, why is that? Because Satan is wise. Satan can't fuck with the angels. They'll break him in two. You have to outwit them. Well, he didn't really outwit them, but he had to, the Most High gave him the craft. He had to outwit the prophets. He says, listen, I can't destroy them because of their words, so I have to use their words against them. How can I do that? Listen, I know they're going to go sleep and come back again. When they come back, their memory is going to be wiped, so let me change up the doctrine so they won't really understand. This is why, if you're with me, repeat after me. In the name of Hamashiach Yahushua, Father Yahweh, let everything I do and say be used to the benefit of the good. Now you are invincible. In the name of Hamashiach Yahushua, Father Yahweh, let everything I do and say be used to the benefit of my good. Nothing, you're invincible now. So no matter what you do, no matter what you say, is going to be used to your benefit. So if Satan gets you to curse yourself, you can't curse yourself. You can't. It can't be done because everything you do and say will be used to the benefit of my good. Let all evil sent to me be transformed into wealth, cash, money, gold, grace. So if I fuck up again, I'll be forgiven. Health and wealth for me and my descendants. So instead of, someone does you wrong, you don't want vengeance on them. No. That person got to pay you now. So if someone tries to kill you, you got to pay me now. People say, I want vengeance. No, I don't want vengeance. I want recompensation. You tried to kill me, you tried poisoning me, pay me money so I can take care of my family. You got to think smart, man. You got to think intelligent. Because in this world, right now, we have the power. Because the Most High made it that way. So we got to think smart. If someone did me wrong, I don't want them hurt. I don't want vengeance. I want recompensation. So if I had 1,000 people do me wrong, I want all of them to come out the pocket. And then I want my transgressions wiped away. And guess what? Father, give them people a second chance. So now we all